He's not protecting Diddy either. He's drawing a clear line and pointing us back to the real issue, the other victims. Fans have speculated for months, especially after that video where Diddy seems to pat Bieber down, perhaps searching for wires. Then there's that weird energy on Jimmy Kimmel where Diddy said he knows better than to talk about what we do together. Everything ain't for everybody.
I just had no idea what was to come.
I just want to be a regular kid.
Yeah. I had no idea that this life would take me by storm. I had no idea that I would just get sucked up by all of this stuff. There was so many people who were just so mean, bothered me, and then it affected how I acted and how I treated people. And it's just this ongoing cycle of hurt people hurt people.
When Justin Bieber dropped the Mother's Day sucks line, fans didn't just brush it off. They paused. They connected it to something deeper, a past filled with handlers, strange studio run-ins, and that infamous Lamborghini promise from Diddy that still makes people uneasy. When Bieber casually said Mother's Day sucks, fans didn't hear just a bad mood, they heard pain. It sounded like a crack in the surface, a possible dig at his mom, Patty Mallet. That's when the internet started asking, was this just a kid lashing out, or was it a hint at a deeper betrayal? Many began digging into Bieber's past, looking at how he was introduced to the industry, who he was surrounded by, and what his mother may have allowed or ignored along the way. At first, the idea that Patty may have sold him out seemed far-fetched, but then came the blind items, anonymous leaks from industry insiders, suggesting Justin is being heavily monitored, not for safety but for control. One leak said his handlers are terrified he might relapse or worse, revealed too much. Fans began asking, why would someone need that level of supervision unless there's something they're not supposed to say? In the past few years, Justin Bieber has seemed like a shadow of his former self. He's been caught on camera looking exhausted, distant, and dazed, wandering around in public wearing the same clothes for days, eyes sunken, face unshaven. Fans say it doesn't look like stress. It looks like someone who's either being heavily medicated, watched, or is just completely disassociated. Every appearance feels more like a cry for help than a celebrity sighting. And when someone who's lived their whole life in front of a camera suddenly starts shrinking from it, people notice. This isn't new behavior. There have been flashes of this for years. Moments where Bieber seemed lost, disconnected, or saying strange things. That bizarre freestyle where he rapped "I fly like a bi guy and I go high like a bagpie" wasn't just funny to some fans. Others saw it as a red flag. His eyes were vacant. His flow was off. It sounded like someone trying to hold on to reality but slipping. These weren't isolated incidents. They were warnings. As more of these clips surfaced and the pieces started connecting, fans began to realize this wasn't about burnout or the pressures of fame. It was something deeper, something darker. A growing number of people began to suspect Justin Bieber wasn't just dealing with addiction or mental health issues. He was possibly the victim of industry-level abuse, groomed, manipulated, and stripped of control from a young age. The story went from celebrity drama to something far more serious: survival. When actor Terrence Howard spoke out in a now viral interview, fans felt like he confirmed everything. Without naming names, he talked about what happens to young men in Hollywood, how they're broken down, forced to give up their sense of self, their masculinity, their dignity. He said once you give that up, you don't get it back. He called out how the industry pimps out boys the same way it does girls, only it's even more hidden. And although he never said Bieber's name, the parallels were chilling. People made the connection instantly. Howard talked about what he called the man card, a symbolic sense of identity and power that many young male actors and musicians are forced to surrender for success. And once it's taken, he said, they can't look themselves in the mirror. That's when they turn to drugs or disappear or mentally break down. Fans began to believe Bieber was one of those boys, someone who gave up something he can never get back and now lives under the weight of that trauma every day. One of the most disturbing moments in Bieber's timeline comes from years ago, a birthday night caught on camera. He was with Diddy and The Game, reportedly drinking in a club despite being underage. Photos from that night still circulate online. Justin, eyes barely open, face pale, stumbling. People who were there say he looked drugged, and when you look back, it feels less like a celebration and more like a ritual, a rite of passage that no kid should have been pulled into. In another video, Justin's seen partying with Odell Beckham Jr. and Trey Songz. At one point, Bieber disappears off camera. When he returns, his expression has changed. He looks disoriented. Fans speculate that he may have done drugs off-screen, cocaine possibly, but no one really knows. What stood out was the way Trey Songz subtly blocked the camera camera as if protecting something or someone from being exposed. It added another eerie layer to the growing concern. Then there was the clip with Jaden Smith. In it, Jaden hugs Justin from behind and Justin kisses him on the cheek. On the surface, it's innocent, but for fans who believe that both boys were groomed by the industry, that moment felt like a gut punch. It wasn't about sexuality, it was about innocence, about the bond between two kids who had seen too much, too early. That small gesture became a symbol of how twisted their childhoods may have been. In the comments and forums, fans stopped letting the parents off the hook. Patty Millett, Justin's mother, and Will Smith, Jaden's father, were both dragged into the conversation. People accused them of sacrificing their kids for fame, or at the very least turning a blind eye. Whether it was ignorance, ambition, or something more calculated, fans believed they should have done more to protect their children from the machine. At this point, the theories didn't sound so crazy anymore. There was too much smoke, too many leaked videos, bizarre moments, unexplained breakdowns, and suspicious relationships with older industry figures. The timeline painted a picture that wasn't just sad, it was horrifying. Fans began to ask the real question: if all of this is smoke, then where exactly is the fire? Because something somewhere is burning. People started rewatching the old clips with fresh eyes, especially the ones showing Bieber with Sean Diddy Combs. At first it looked like a mentorship, a music legend helping a rising star, but then Diddy's comments started sounding strange, promising gifts, offering fame, saying lines like, "You gotta come to daddy." What seemed like harmless banter before now felt loaded, predatory, and wrong. One particular clip still circulates to this day. Diddy tells a 15-year-old Bieber that when he turns 16, he'll get to drive his Lamborghini. The moment felt off even then, but now it feels damning. Who promises a child a luxury car in exchange for time spent together? Fans say it wasn't about mentorship, it was about access, control, grooming, disguised as generosity. Then came the most disturbing detail of all. Diddy once publicly bragged about spending 48 straight hours with Justin. After that weekend, something changed. Justin stopped talking about Diddy, stopped showing up around him. In one video, Diddy confronts Bieber in the studio, almost passive-aggressively, "You've been acting different." And Bieber's face says it all. He looks uncomfortable, tense, like he's trying to escape without causing a scene. Fans believe those 2 days may have marked the beginning of his mental decline. The question many fans have begun asking isn't just what happened between Justin Bieber and Sean Diddy Combs, but how did they ever become that close in the first place? How does a 15-year-old pop star from Stratford, Ontario end up spending 48 hours alone with one of the most controversial figures in the entertainment industry? The answer, it seems, leads back to a familiar and complicated name: Usher. Usher is credited with discovering Justin. He was seen as the mentor, the bridge between obscurity and superstardom. But over time, people started questioning the full extent of his role. According to singer Jaguar Wright, Diddy had been interested in Justin for a while. The labels were allegedly hesitant, maybe even protective at first, keeping their young star out of reach. But Diddy knew how to play the long game, and he had Usher in his corner. Usher, who himself rose through the industry under Diddy's early guidance, now had influence over Justin and, according to Wright, guardianship too, at least temporarily. If true, this guardianship gave Diddy exactly what he wanted: direct, unsupervised access. That's how he got the infamous 48 hours with Bieber, a weekend that fans now look back on as a pivotal, possibly traumatic moment in Justin's life. After those 48 hours, something visibly changed. Justin didn't talk about Diddy the same way. He started pulling away. And to those who follow these patterns in the industry, that kind of shift doesn't happen for no reason. As this story unraveled, attention inevitably turned to someone even closer to Justin than his mentors or managers: his mother, Patty Millett. Patty had always been at Justin's side in the early years, fiercely protective and deeply involved, but as disturbing clips and claims started surfacing, fans began to re-examine her actions, or in some cases, her silence. She publicly praised Usher, calling him the perfect mentor. She celebrated Justin's rapid ascent in the industry, and she didn't seem to voice any concern about who her son was spending time with, even when those names included men like Diddy, whose history in the entertainment world has been clouded by accusations, lawsuits, and whispers of exploitation. That's what made people pause. Why was she okay with Justin, at just 15, being surrounded by much older men with massive power and no accountability? Why did she allow or approve of a situation where Usher could hand off her son to another man for an unsupervised weekend? Was she misled? Was she desperate for her son's success? Or did she think the cost was worth it? This is where the narrative splits. Some believe Patty Mallet was simply a young mother with no idea what this industry really looked like behind the scenes, that she was swept up in the whirlwind of fame and trusted the wrong people. To them, she was naive, not malicious, just overwhelmed and ultimately overpowered. But others aren't so forgiving. They point out that even a casual Google search back then could have shown her the allegations circling people like Diddy, that the music industry has never hidden its darkness well, that any mother paying attention would have at least been cautious, and that by publicly endorsing Usher and allowing him to shepherd her son into an elite and possibly predatory circle, she crossed the line between ignorance and complicity. Fans are split, but the heart of the question remains: did she know what was really happening? And if she did, why didn't she stop it? By this point, it's clear the story is no longer about music, celebrity, or even fame. It's about survival, literal, psychological, spiritual. Justin Bieber wasn't just a talented kid who made it big. He may have been a commodity, passed between powerful hands, molded and monetized until there was almost nothing left of the boy the world first fell in love with. And what we're seeing now, his erratic behavior, his deep spiritual searching, his health issues and emotional vulnerability, might be the aftermath, the fallout of a system that chews up young talent and spits them out, confused and broken. People once called it conspiracy. Now, with more stories surfacing, lawsuits filed, and victims speaking up, it's harder to dismiss. And while we don't have every answer, there's one truth many agree on. This isn't just about Justin Bieber's music career anymore. It's about whether he was ever given a real chance to be himself, or whether the price of fame was far darker than any of us realized.
Actually, Justin is not just healthy like I prayed, but like I said, he's really talented. He's been putting up videos on YouTube, and he is now the #1 most subscribed to musician in Canada on YouTube. And number 20th in the world musician in Canada.
And we heard him sing.
We met him here.
Yeah,
He
he
sang for us in the green room earlier.
What a voice. You would never believe could come out of
And
out
a
of
voice
you.
that's caught
It's
the
beautiful.
attention of some pretty high up people.
Yeah, he was being courted by the different music labels, and I don't know if you know if Justin Timberlake and Usher were actually fighting over who could sign him, and so we just signed with the music label, and we're moving in about a week to the US. So it's a big step, and he's got a long journey and great plans.
Congratulations, Justin.